by the number of students that are being served.
So I also have another question on that Schedule F, follow-up.
Okay.
There's a little box. I don't get what that is. Can you explain what that's in that box?
Which box is that?
Schedule F, there's a I-9, it's not the long box, it's the little box right here in the middle of the page. What is that
Okay.
box?
This is showing the breakout, this is showing the breakout by district for West End family. These are the West End families.
Oh, the other,
Yes.
the other kids. That
Yes.
is- Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Jean, this is the same model that we approved through superintendent's for 11-12, and I'm putting in the new numbers with the.
I'm gonna have to call you.
Okay.
What you do, I just want to know where the number came from, that's all I'm asking. Regardless of, I'm not questioning if it was approved.
Right.
I'm asking you to explain how the number came about. So I don't question the number, that looks like about the number we refer for counseling. But the end result is what I'm trying to understand.
It's
We
based
kind of
on,
project it out based on, a few months right now that we have,
Right.
because these are the most accurate numbers we have.
Oh, I don't question that 74 at all.
Yeah, so it's kind of,
But it's just getting
you
used to
look
this
at the
number.
proportion of students you refer and divide
well,
that into the budget, the total budget.
Gene, so if you take a look at the budget, the total budget is on Schedule E, and then your portion would be 23.18%. So
Of
if you
this,
look at,
which number, 7,000, 5,000, which number are you looking at?
it would be,
Or the total revenue?
it'll be total expenses minus the consultant fees, because that's for, so minus the, there's a few different things in there, minus the, so you take the expenditures of 32,93,054, subtract out the 915,3, and then you would take the percentage of 23.18, which is Edeline's portion. And again, we only use this prorated February through June, because that's the only data that we have.
Okay, that helps, thank you.
Any other questions on that'll help these census?
I wanted to, I don't know that actually Jane's even been discussed with you, about the services for next year.
No, this, I've been waiting for this.
No. In terms of a pilot project? Okay. One of the things the counselors have been looking at is the number of referrals that we're receiving for students with autism in the area of social skills.
We did talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I came to the, where the counselors presented.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Well, we're moving forward with that. They've been spending some time researching the area, and I know we talked about the possibility of sending some of the counselors to UCLA for career training. We looked at that program. Most of those kids weren't even in special education, so we thought perhaps they're not the same population that we would be addressing. And so we looked at a couple other curriculums, and they have kind of felt that Jen Baker's social skills curriculum is the one they would like to utilize and start a pilot project. And the project would be in Etiwanda for next year, doing a social skills group, because we have the most referrals from Etiwanda.
Okay.
Of that type of student. I don't know what that means for Etiwanda.
Do I need to find them a room and everything? Because we don't have declining enrollment. So someone may want to let me know what's happening.
They already used, and we also will be looking at trying to assign people more geographically now that we have 15 counselors. It's a little bit easier in the past, having to match up therapist attributes with student needs has made that harder when we only had a few counselors, but now that we have a lot more. So we'll try to make the service delivery model a little more user-friendly so that the people at your site, because I think it was brought up that, I don't know, about 7 of the counselors are going to Heritage Intermediate.
Oh, at least. Yeah.
And, you know, it's making the lady in the front desk crazy. Because if 7 people showed up at your site asking for a room at the same time, you wouldn't have space. And I mean, and they've worked those things out, but it will just be a lot easier. Also, it'll give them a little bit more connection with the school site staff so that we could have some more generalization and opportunity to implement some of the things that the students are learning in counseling into the classroom.
So is this for a specific site or?
That's one of the things we're gonna, we think probably a specific site, but we'll want to work with you and your staff to work out the details.
Okay, because I've been moving itinerary off campuses that we ran out of space. So there's some campuses that we're not gonna be able to find extra space for, but there's some that still have.
Okay.
You know,
And I mean, and if
there's
it's a
some-
problem, we could also look at perhaps another district to do it.
Oh, we'll make it work. I just.
Yeah,
I added this my list.
Yes.
We have plenty of space.
Right,
No, don't even
so,
try to come in and try to take this away. I just need to process it. So you'll be contacting me or one of the counselors?
I think one of the counselors was going to take the lead, but we'll try to get that taken care of before I leave and you leave vacation.
Yes. Thank you.
So,
I have one question. On schedule, which? Okay. Okay.
You know my last name starts with a D. Sorry, you know I have to get a joke in there somewhere. I'm just wondering, because I'm thinking of going back to school. That's a joke too. The halftime FTE is, salary and benefits are part of that total cost. The psychologist, it's just, it seems abnormally high for a psychologist.
Where are you at?
The child psychologist AS, SELPA, MA, mental health admin.
Okay.
It's like a halftime FTE, and I'm looking at the cost of half the salary is really that much.
That would be salary and benefits.
Okay.
And that's for one of our staff. And I can double check this, but this is based off of their, I mean, these are the pay scales that we currently have, yes.
The number of days that we're.
I don't remember
How many
days
days?
yeah,
She-
our
she
psychologists
has more.
each work a few different,
She's like maybe 217 or 2, I don't
Oh,
know.
wow, that's a lot.
yeah.
No, because when I think about my sites, I'm going for real.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
if you
let
look
them
down
know.
below, the 30% one is more.
Wow. Oh, down
There's
here.
something not quite right.
Yeah.
That can't be the case.
I would have to
Oh,
say.
do you have any openings?
I'm choking out, right?
Well, that would be true benefits, because
That's all
also
it is,
the
a corporate
families, some, you know,
Yeah, but,
Right.
yeah, you know what, I'll need to take a look at that. And some of these, what happened, a lot of these estimates were done before we actually did all of our budgeting for next year, with whether people had stepping columns and benefit rates and all of that. What will happen come the beginning of the year, actually come July 1, we can make adjustments to everyone's actual real salary. So these will definitely change. And there's
Contractual days will make a difference.
yes, contractual days definitely make a difference here. But I can, you know what, I'll double check this before our next meeting and see what I did there.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for putting that out. Any other questions on that? Okay, this is our regular 8602 funding model, for 1213. This has the new ADA that has been projected by all of our districts. This is using the template dated February 27th from school services. So we go ahead and we project this at this time of the year, using basically the same assumptions that are noted on the second page there. And basically, it's our ADA, the new ADA. It's based on the new fee-for-service structure for both OMSD and county schools, as well as the WESELPA. It reflects the latest projection for non-public school and agency costs. it reflects, the growth, negative growth. And there's a concern, I spoke with, Upland, because Upland now, their, options for youth, which was a charter school, and they left, and so now we're basically getting a hit of it, and it's a big kind of a double whammy for them. They're very concerned about this, and I know that at the time, maybe about 6 years ago, that Awanda had a concern because they were growing and people were declining, so we changed the process, and it's affecting Upland in huge ways, and Upland is requesting that we go ahead and we have a subcommittee get together with the finance group to go ahead and take a look at how, if this is still equitable, if we need to make some changes. They have some real concerns about it, so.
I have a charter school, so my question is, by options for youth leaving that school district, they lost a base of funding because they were supporting special ed for them? Or,
Well, what happens is the ADA that comes, that you receive,
Right.
because they're like a
they are a district school for
they're
their
a district school
special
for you.
ed, right?
So you're getting the ADA. The ADA, their ADA comes into the pot for special ed. So that piece, so yes, you are getting the ADA, so they're about 1,000, I don't remember what they are offhand, but you're basically getting the ADA and you're getting the allocation for that. So what happens is, in their case, options for youth left, and we're funded
So they lost.
based on, yes, so they lost, all of a sudden, they lost 2,000 ADA. So they're concerned about how this is really equitable. They feel like they've already gotten a hit because their ADA went down and the funding is going.
So
That's
they
for
had a
another.
double hit because of declining enrollment as well.
Yeah, and because it's so large, and the big concern within the district, within WESELPA, was there were some districts that were growing while others were declining, and we were getting a decline hit. And the districts that were growing were getting a negative, they were getting a deduct to their revenue, so that's when we looked at it. And they're just asking us to go ahead and take a look at this again. So probably over the summer, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that and see if there's anything we can do to maybe make changes and bring something forward in September for the group to.
Do you know about this for 2 years that charter was leaving?
Yes.
Yes.
Will there be representative from PAC invited to the PAC meeting too?
We can go ahead and get anyone that would
I
like to.
would like to.
Would you like to?
Only because I do have a charter school. Renew their contract doesn't mean they'll stay. Contracts can be negotiated, you know that. And I have a potential other charter school. So for Chino, I am very interested in what that's going to look like. Because here today, gone tomorrow. And then that's going to be a huge hit. Even though we're a big district, it doesn't matter. Our charter school is huge. It's like 1,100 kids.
Well, theirs was almost like 1,700, 1,800, so it was big.
That's
So
hard.
But it's also varies too with the type of charter.
It does.
I mean, because Options for Youth was an independent study charter.
Yeah.
Traditionally, independent study charters have very low special education.
Traditionally, except they
But
market it very.
Your particular charter, but your charter has attracted, because they have a little different model.
They have an independent study piece too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have.
but they have a combined model. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors. I mean, it can be a great way to bring in money to your district.
No, yeah, I'm not complaining
in-house
at all. I
risk.
think having options is a good thing. It's better than having dilemmas. I agree. It just concerns me because as the charters are growing and districts are running out of room, for someone who has a charter, that could be me. So,
Well, I
and
think
that
we
charter
need-
is growing in other districts too. So at any moment, they could just uproot the whole doggone thing and go somewhere else. So that is of concern because it's something I need to take back to my cabinet.
And I think we need to have some kind of statement in place, so every 3, 4, whatever many years, when we make a decision, and it's gonna happen, bizarre things are gonna happen. but
Can't
Since
control it.
charter now is unknown, we need to have some kind of safety net, if that kind of thing, because, as Sean said, if you have 2, something
like say, if you take a look at this for Upland right now, Upland's, it's showing the ADA without, so we're funding them basically without that charter school. So they're receiving kind of a cut because their ADA is already done, and now it's 2 years later based on that funded ADA, so now they're getting because the WESELPA is now declining, then that's when we get the hit. So it's kind of a double whammy, and there's some real concerns about that. Just for a little bit of history, prior to making the change to the declining enrollment, so it only affected those districts that were declining. As everyone was growing, everyone got a piece of it. We were declining, everyone got the decline. And then we made the change in 6-7, I think it was effective 6-7, and then we made that change. And that's when there was a lot of people that were on the decline, and so those changes were made. So I think it's time to take a look at it again and see what they come up with. I know that Upland talked with the county office, and then she also contacted Janet, so we're going to have them most likely on the video also.
It was very controversial when we put it in. It was very divisive. But if that hadn't been in place at this time, then the districts that are growing, like Cucamonga and Etowanda.
We're actually in declining enrollment.
You show, no, you don't.
Next year will show.
In Ontario, Montclair, which show growth, or at least no decline, would be hit by the loss of Upland's charter.
Right.
So it's a matter of just, trying to offset both sides. And,
It's something we're going to need to kind of take a look at. So
it was really very divisive, I think, when we first went through it.
So these,
Once you've lived with it a while, sometimes you see other positives and negatives.
so this is the projection for 12-13 based on all of the procedures and the new rates, et cetera. Any questions on that?
Item C5, coalition, please.
This is a pretty routine item. Essentially, it's approval of, or a recommendation to have a superintendent approve the dues of $1,500 in the Coalition for Adequate Funding for Special Education. They provide support at the state and federal level to secure funds for special education, as well as provide training to the new self-administrator in terms of special education funding and issues around that. Very comfortable. Move forward. The next is the membership for state self-administrators. Again, having a new self-administrator, her participation is in this organization would be very important. There's a lot of mentorship with that. That's $600. And SANDAP's membership, SANDAP's is our local San Bernardino districts. And they basically look at issues related to education and how they affect our districts and county. And their membership dues are $200.
C8, legal services for 3S.
That time of year. And, I asked all of the vendors we work with, consider not taking kind of a cost increase this year. They do full frost, taking no cost increase this year. So, we approve to keep them. Vesta and Peter, C9, I just said it, okay? Alright. Initially, I asked them when they, to get this out on time. why the first one is in there. They came back with a $5 increase for partner, $5 for associate, $3 for associate two, 13 for paralegal. Their paralegal was kind of low. I do not believe they took any raise last year at all.
They haven't written.
For a number of years, they stayed the same, so this year, they're asking for this increase. Move forward. Okay. Same thing with Atkins, Anderson, Loyola, Uva, and Romo. Let's say that. They've asked for a $5 increase to attorney only. Again, they haven't taken an increase from way into the years. I think it was 2008 was the last time they took an increase. So if we want to approve, let's see. Hey, Vivian Phillips, I've had 2 districts ask to bring this person back to our committee because they would like the opportunity to work with her. She is an individual attorney, so her rates are much lower. So based on the districts that want to work with them, remember, as we work with different attorneys and assign them, I've been working with each director on identifying which firms you guys want to use for particular cases. I may give suggestions based on my work with that particular firm and their expertise maybe in an area. But we will bring Vivian Phillips forward. I've got 2 districts in task for them to be on our list. Yes?
Her rates are lower because she's
Individual, yeah. Yeah, less overhead.
So who's the junior attorney?
That I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. I would probably only work with her until we get to know them. Some of the other firms, there's so many certain attorneys that we work with, that we work on with. When I meet them, a week, I should say, a week meet them, we try not to use them. Just people you guys have this position, so we can't help. So pretty.
recommendation. Thank you, Amy. C12 facility requests.
We did get requests from Ontario Montclair fiscal person, and this came about from the principal at Lincoln School, and Lincoln School has an MTU attached, not attached to it, it's a building on the side, I guess, but it's there on the property. And there were some issues that developed this year in regard to parents. Parents are parking in the Lincoln parking lot, signing in at the Lincoln School office, then going to the MTU, and then where the MTU is located, coming around, I guess, the back end.
I don't know, all I know is you're going through the building, visiting classrooms with their other family members, blah, blah, there's actually a lot of traffic, they're there for the NTU, actually through the school building, which is not the same situation.
And so, I know at the other MTUs, there's a separate parking lot for people to go to, be directed to the MTU, and so the MTU operations do not infringe upon the school operations. I didn't notice when I was out there at Lincoln, is there a separate parking lot for the MTU?
I'm not sure, I feel probably is not.
Yeah, I didn't look. You know, because parents should be going directly to the MTU. I mean, some of these parents don't even have students at Lincoln School. So the question was whether or not there would be money to build a fence to try to avoid this. And so there's no specific funding for this in our facilities plan, or we don't have any facilities money. So the question would be, where would it come from? And And so, there would probably be two options. One would be looking at taking it out of regional services, and any excess money in regional services is returned back to districts, or looking at districts contributing a share of that money, probably based on ADA, since that's how most other things are distributed, to pay for this. So I wanted to bring this forward for your consideration.
Next, clarifying question, when you say district contribution, that would be in addition to what we're already,
This would be a one-time contribution.
so it's kind of a wash.
Either
Because
way.
if it's money not being returned.
Right. Yeah.
And it really does have to be that.
Yeah, I've never seen an MTU being accessed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's been a separate entrance and possibly a separate parking lot, but that's a whole other issue, it sounds like.
And I was going to drive out to see, to kind of look and see. I tried to email Angie and see if she had any suggestions, but she didn't get back to me at all. And, to see if there are any other options that we could look at. Because I think PTU bears a great deal of responsibility to direct their parents appropriately, not to put the burden on the school where they're located.
When you do use, just the one, that's a separate building.
Yeah, our other one is at Marino, that's just looks like a building parking lot, so it's not an issue, so.
And that's one of them.
Now, if you put a fence, where would they park?
Parking is an issue at Marino anyway. The day that the tour, we were shocked, it's like, the parking lot is empty, because
Right.
you never, ever have a place to park. In fact, I always have to park on the street no matter what time of day, in side streets or whatever, so.
That's what I was trying to visualize, is where the fence would be, and then where parking's gonna be an issue, but where would the fence?
I don't know, apparently it's, I don't know, they're trying to probably just get a pathway or a sidewalk, and with a fence so that they can direct the parents straight to the MTV.
And you're allowed to park in the street right in front of the building.
If you can get a spot there.
They get,
But that might alleviate spots in the parking lot, so the staff could be parking lot, and open up spots in the street, maybe.
And the only concern I would have, I don't know, I didn't go out to walk it, and I really should have, but is also many of these students accessing the MTU are in wheelchairs, which, you have all of the issues of, making sure the terrain and curbs or anything makes it fully accessible to them if we're having them enter in a different fashion. So, I'm not certain about that.
so with these quotes, that include the excessive cost of money for accessibility. I think that's just, is that something that they're
Oh, I'm sure they wouldn't have,
Is that
with our
already- with
facilities people, they would not do anything that wasn't like ADA compliant or whatever,
So
so.
there's anything beyond that we would have to do that's outside of us, this is the set amount.
This is the amount they projected, and you can see it's for a gate, the fencing, actually 2 gates, and then they are adding more concrete or sidewalks. So, and depending on whether they used asphalt or concrete, you have 2 different prices. So those are not combined; those are 2 options.
16.
How are we feeling on this?
Makes sense.
I'm sorry.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
And how would you want to fund it?
Option
That
one
would be
and
my
then
most-
2. Well, if there's any return, I don't know, we can take it out of that fund, but.
No, I wanna make sure that
District on regional,
walk through the plans
but I don't even know if we can do that.
to get
Well, I think if,
That will tell us.
as long as the budget can take it, and right now, it looks like we
I don't know that.
should be able to take this against the next year's budget. I don't see that it would be a huge issue, but what we've done this year, there's been several big ticket items that have hit the regional services budget. We continue with those kinds of same things next year, we might be in a little bit of trouble. But I think this one now, it's a one-time thing, all of our districts are using it, I think, as long as you're, I know you're not here next year, but I think it's an appropriate expense that could come out of regional services.
And if that wasn't, if they found some glitch with that, with the fiscal group that's coming in this afternoon, because I don't know if there's some problem using that kind of money.
Well, we could definitely
Yeah.
use the regional services money for that purpose. I don't think that's gonna be an issue. So it's either, do we pay for it through regional services? Do we pay for it out of XPOM, because all the districts are paying into XPOM? Do we pay for it as kind of add additional $15,000 to the facility? So we could add $15,000 there, and it's spread by usage of the MTUs, but that's all the MTUs. So we can look at it, I think we can look at it different ways, but if I'm thinking maybe a one-time shot with money being the way that it is, and right now the 284 is relatively healthy, I think this would be an appropriate expense. If some of the things that come out of there, I wouldn't have had them come out of there, but that's where they came out of. So next year, I think.
So out of the 284 would be your recommendation.
Is that the regional?
That's a regional services budget.
Facility for homeschoolers.
I have not been able to get enough information to really go forward with that item. We did go ahead and, to give you a good plan to approve, but basically when we went out to Mountain View School District, the facilities piece of that at Mountain View Elementary, we certainly work for the counselors. We're trying to look at cost, then that was part of what we wanted to bring forward today. So there would be the cost of leasing the facility for Mountain View. There were two classrooms that are part of the new wing that you put out there. And then behind, and those would be the areas that would be accessed by the public. So it was very easy to limit and control public access to the facility. And then there are portables behind there where the counselors would have their offices. So we're able to separate that space. And then, of course, the piece where the public is accessing it would need to be remodeled in order to have confidential space. And that was, Dave Reck felt would be a very big cost. And so, because that would require floor-to-ceiling walls with insulation, because they're doing therapy in one room, you don't want to be hearing the therapist in the room next to you counseling. So those are the things we're kind of still looking at. The question would be, would that cost doing that? Would that be a more cost-effective way of doing it versus whether we went ahead and looked at commercial space right now that would be already set up for that, part of the remodeling, such as a medical office suite. So we're still trying to collect some further information, and Rick is going to get back to me on what the cost of leasing of the facilities would be. So we'd like to continue to consider that so that as we move forward next year, think about it. Don't let it die.
We'll have additional information by our next conference.
Well, it'll be enough. We got it.
Zone C14 protocol for complaints concerning WESELPA.
When the Superintendent's Council asked that we bring forward a protocol on how when letters are brought up about complaints against the SELPA are responded to. What I did was go back to look at the local plan, and when you look at the local plan, it indicates that the county schools serves as the responsible local agency, or AU. And on page 19 of the local plan, It specifies the responsibility of the AU is for the employment of staff. And on page 23, it further clarifies that the self-administrator and self-staff are subject to the AU's policies and procedures. And so my recommendation would be that any complaints against self-employees should be handled in accordance to those policies and procedures, and those are attached behind here. So essentially, those would go to the Human Resources Division, and they would investigate them. At that. At this time, we're paying outside attorneys for that job, and we already pay the county indirect, and so I can't see it as a responsibility of them being the AU. If the complaints are really regarding non-compliance of special education, then the appropriate agency to handle those would be the Procedural Safeguards and Referral Service. And I also included as backup a copy of the description of what they do, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with their work. So are there any discussion about that? This is probably similar to if this were to occur in your district, how it would be handled.
Item C15, Personnel Committee, Jen.
We are in need of a personnel committee for this year going into next year. And so it does indicate that the personnel committee has one representative from each district. And if you're not able to attend, you may send an alternate. And that the meetings are scheduled semi-annually or as needed. And so we're trying to recruit volunteers from our districts. So if any of you would be interested in being on the personnel committee, and I noticed Kelly wasn't here, but in the past they have participated.
I'll participate.
Whoa, volunteer lady!
Well, you said in the past, county, so I'll participate.
Okay.
I will do.
I saw that look, so.
Yeah, my name is Juan.
Karen,
Everyone in the room.
Kelly.
Wow, what a great group. So you reduce the impact of the finance people. And I know there were a couple finance people when we originally talked about this earlier in the year that wanted to be on it too, so they may actually fill in some of these blanks very nicely. So, thank you very much.
Item C16, business update, Jen.
We'll start with the good news. DRDP, has a new reporting system. It looks very much like the old reporting system we had before this Excel spreadsheet. Especially because it's one of those, what you see on the screen looks just like what your test protocol looks like, so it makes it very easy to input the data. However, today is the first day they're even doing training on the new system, and most of you are out of school, and so most people have, for this year, will use the Excel system, I'm assuming. You can use either one. If you next year, it would be advisable to use the new system. The new system does generate the data and move it to the Excel spreadsheet, so it's no issue. But the advantage of the new system is, once again, we're back with getting reports. So, and they've developed a couple different types of reports, and so it would be helpful if your staff, might want to take a look at the webinars and see what some of those reports look like, how they can use those, and also get a little bit more information about creating an, they have to go in and create an account. But it's very, very similar to last year, and I know Edward's district piloted it, and I don't know if Ontario Montclair had a chance.
I don't know.
Yeah, but, they seem to, find it pretty user-friendly.
I didn't hear any screaming.
No, they were,
Yes, and it went well.
they were such a good group.
They are a great group.
Then under Part C, the federal regs came out in October. And so just wanted to clarify under the transition process and responsibilities that the district must attend the transition conference, and that is done usually about age 2.5 to 2.9. That transition conference is a planning event. It does not start the timeline for referral. So it's really the notification by regional center to the district at age 2.9 that's considered a referral, and either you need to send out an assessment plan or prior written notice, and then have your IEP in place by the time the student is 3. They're clarifying, I know we've always had a little issue around when students are, when we have late referrals. So, so if they are in the Part C program, they have been all along, the regional center has to notify you 90 days prior to their 3rd birthday. And then you have the 15 days to get out the assessment plan, the parent has 15 days to return it, and then you have 60 days, so that's kind of the 90-day timeline. Now, if they're determined to be eligible for Part C 45 days to 90 days prior to turning 3, then the regional center needs to notify you as soon as possible. So in that case, you're going to have a 45-day notification window, and that IEP is not going to be met by their 3rd birthday, and you're going to indicate the reason in your case must, otherwise you're going to be found out of compliance. Now, if they're referred to regional center less than 45 days or less before their 3rd birthday, then they are not considered to be a Part C participant, and the regional center would not evaluate any of those students. They would be referred directly onto the district, and the district would evaluate them, and you would have the regular 60-day timeline.
So just to make it that's right, if referred to RC less than 45 days, they are not Part C and would be referred to the district.
Right. So the district would be responsible for assessing those students. You would have your opportunity to send out the assessment plan and timeline the same as any other student that might be referred after their 3rd birthday. And when the state does the calculation for whether or not all your kids have IEPs as they transition from Part C to B by their 3rd birthday, this group would not be considered in that calculation. So, you want to be careful as you're inputting that information into CASEMIS to not include that group. And all of this is important because this will be part of our annual performance report that you get each year that determines whether or not you're in compliance or needs assistance or meets requirements. So
I do have a question, and maybe it's
to have
By
their
age
IEP
three.
by age 3.
Okay, all right. I was hoping to say something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are gonna be the ones you're really gonna have to flag and,
Okay.
watch, so.
So John, I'm assuming it's really not addressed if regional center doesn't notify us till the day before the child is referred. We're still responsible. If this child has been Part C referred, and they, by accident, and it happens, it's not a malicious thing, they're fantastic people, but we have received them. And it's one day before, we're missing that timeline, we just indicate referral provided and the date of referral. Okay.
They refer.
And it
But,
doesn't
I mean,
happen
and I
often.
think that may be something where we probably would want to continue to happen regularly, just like process.
It's not common, it really is, but it has happened. Yeah, it happens.
And I know we talked a bit about this with Regional Center. They met with us a couple of weeks ago, with all of the Inland Empire self-administrators, talking about a number of issues. And they did offer to come out and meet with us individually. It may be a good thing to kind of think a while back. Some of you remember when we sat down and had some regular face-to-face meetings. It helped knowing the faces, knowing the people involved, and just ironing out any details to make the whole process go smoother. So, we can kind of look at that to set that up next year. Because they have had some staffing changes, they have retirements, and they've had some people moved around. So then if you go to the question, the one that has 6 pages, questions and discussions. This was a presentation, part of a presentation CDE provided to the self-administrators as to just the first couple slides indicate how many districts were non-compliant, and letting us know that we will be getting notification, and I have not received it. I believe we were told it was coming May 18th, but that's come and gone. And that we would first be able to, as self-administrators, review the data, which they've been doing as a courtesy to us, and have been able to sometimes avoid errors in the reports. But then, once we do that, all of you will be given your student level information, and we will be asked to do a root cause analysis. And they've pretty much said there's 3 possible root causes. For one, you really, are human and missed a timeline. And secondly, you missed a number of timelines, and there appears to be a systemic problem within your system and that you need to correct. Or there have been some instances, I know Cucamonga, I worked with them on their disproportionality for expulsion, and their system was recording the same kid twice. So it doubled their special ed numbers, but it didn't double their general ed numbers, so everything looked out of whack. And so that's the third cause, that it's really just a reporting error, and nothing is non-compliant. So when you get your report, you're going to have to go through those. Alberto will be available to work with us on that. If it is inappropriate policies and practices, so sort of like when we do the self-review, it's a systemic problem, then you're going to have a corrective action plan similar to the self-review. If it's just a student level, you'll have the 1 year timeline to correct that. Then if it's a data entry, then you're just going to identify that and figure out how to fix your data entry systems. One of the things I will say that we consistently saw and is when we were looking at disproportionality, if you identified a student as being multiple ethnicity, on the general ed side of the house, there's nothing comparable. So Alta Loma was found out of compliance because of identifying students as multiple ethnicities. Well, what happens, we find out, is when you enter into case miss that the parent declines to identify or hasn't reported, I forget what the wording is, it marks the kid multiple ethnicity. So what they're advising is that, based on the information available to you, you make the best guess as to the ethnicity of that student. Otherwise, you will end up very likely having some type of disproportionality.
But if they are multiple ethnicities?
Well, then they are. But you don't want to have, there were areas where we had a number of districts where a large number of parents decline to report. So it's only the decline to state or don't report what their ethnicity is that
It's not empty.
it defaults, so it doubles your, you have all of the normal multiple ethnicities plus this whole other group that isn't much possible. I mean, so, don't mark the box decline to report. Don't say you don't know. So those are the newest on the case list. Not much else.
Any discussion on item 16, business updates? Do we have a request from the clerks on items? Item C17, CAC teacher representative. Joan?
We do have 2 openings for teacher representatives. I know I sent out an email asking you to take this into consideration if you have some teachers who would be interested in applying or being not applying, but being considered for this responsibility. Our first meeting is in August, so to have them in place in August, this would be our only opportunity to bring a name forward to Superintendent's Council in time for that August, in time for it to be approved in June to go to the August meeting. So the August meeting has been one, where perhaps have lower attendance if people haven't gotten all of the representatives approved. Although we did have 4 for sure. And so, is there anyone who has a name that they would like to bring forward? Names?
I sent an email and my box was
All right.
full, but I have a question.
Another gold star for Jean.
2 in 1 year, that's why. Unheard of for me.
Just trying to combat that long reputation.
Balance. I have an individual who's not a teacher, but an assistant principal.
It doesn't matter, it just is a school staff. I'm sorry, I shouldn't really say
Okay.
teacher.
And I don't know, do you want all the names of the individuals? Do you want me to narrow it down to one? Tell
Why
me
don't
what
you
want
bring
me to do.
forward all of the names?
Okay.
And I can tell you what you can just kind of say what the position is.
Donna Porter is an assistant principal at Story. She has extensive special ed background. And Richard Martin is a special day class teacher. He's not related. Everyone says he's my son, but he's not. He is a special day class teacher, 7th grade, I believe is what he's teaching right now.
Is he mild, moderate, or others?
Mild moderate. Kimmy Herrera is a primary SPC teacher, currently 1st through 3rd. I think she's 1st and 2nd next year. Looking at the numbers as of last night. she's at Colony, which is actually where our parent is from.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know if there was a difficulty there or not. Markeisha Hall is a moderate severe preschool teacher. Oh, yeah. Don't even look at her.
I think anyone.
You're a good friend, Peggy, but I'm not sharing her. So those are the individuals who did express interest.
Carol Ertiles was a moderate severe teacher at Upland High School, has also requested to be on the CAC. She attended the last CAC meeting, and I discussed it with Lori because she knew she wasn't going to be here, so I will go ahead and bring her name forward. I will tell you though, so that the current teacher that will remain on the CAC is also from Upland High School, Marlon Nitzkus. So I don't know if there would be any concern about having two teachers from the same school. Marla's comment was that right now all of the teachers are mild moderate teachers, and so she felt that it would be good to have a teacher from the moderate severe side of the house. So
And Ashley's Nicole House, not Markeisha. I should double check. It's my other moderate severe teacher.
who's that?
Nicole House King. She's hyphenated last name. And she is kindergarten first grade next year. At preschool.
Anyone else have any staff volunteers? Okay. Maybe Gina, you can know her, and she perhaps should narrow it down then. I don't know if we have a lot of,
It's really hard. These are all exceptional individuals.
yeah.
You know, Donna brings something that is kind of unique. She was a teacher. She does have a special ed credential. You know, being an administrator, she has a perspective that a teacher may not have, but she also has that perspective of being a teacher previously. So,
And I know in having, being at some of the CAC meetings, one of the things that I think the group sometimes struggles with is procedure. And I would expect Donna is well skilled in meeting facilitation and such, so she would be able to bring some good guidance maybe in that direction.
her children are a little older than the other three. Those children not that should sway the decision, but I know she is more available because she doesn't have little committees at home that may cause problems sometimes getting to meetings. I just know from when I had them when they were younger, it's a little harder to get places than, you know, Donna and my children are about the same age, so they can be left out. And we don't have to worry.
I do like the idea of having a site administrator. I mean, it does lend a, yeah, it's just, because there may be, concerns that might be out there with this body about, from the school, how schools are run or whatever, and this person at least might, have that.
Yeah, they could certainly answer parents' questions regarding that. So, yeah. I hear support for Donna. Is that clear across the board? Okay. We have one other individual to select. And I know Donna, actually, I believe her name came up the last time we looked at this, and maybe that passed her over, so.
You're right. It did, I just remembered that. So, let me see. I'm trying to see. You want two people?
So, yeah, we have two openings, so we want to bring two names forward. So we have Richard Martin, who's a 7th grade mild mother. Kimmy Herrera, 1st through 3rd grade. Is she mild moderate?
She's my mother.
Um,
And then Nicole is our
And
moderate severe.
Nicole and Marty.
Not
Tisha.
Markeisha, it's Nicole.
Oh, Nicole, I'm sorry. And so, and then
I
we
have
have,
moderate severe in my head, I just went to the
And then we have two teachers that are moderate severe, Carol Artiles and Nicole House. One is K1 SDC and that's Nicole, and the others from Outlook High School. So, any recommendations?
Do you have a primary preschool,
No, the other representative is a high school person, mild moderate, so,
I like the,
so a moderate
Right.
severe.
yeah. I think it's that's a growing area, and I think having that type of diversity on that council would be awesome. Because it is growing tremendously.
So we will bring forward Donna Porter and Nicole House for approval by superintendents. We'll let them know.
The second request was approved for public input. Rather than
It does indicate speaker forms must be presented prior to the beginning of the meeting.
That's out of compliance with the Brown Act, but I kindly request to speak from the chair.
Motion granted.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I wanted to point out and ask a couple of questions on the report that Joan presented. I noticed that there's a lot of reliance on the regional center for child find activities going from Part C into Part B. And I'm not quite sure what happens, what kind of child find activities are there if the child is not identified by regional center. That was one question. And then the other question was on the self-review. I'm not sure we have a status on that. I haven't seen anything at CAC. So I wanted to find out what the status is on the self-review. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moss.
Item B, communication, 1213, transportation, Joan.
I received a letter from Ralph Alma, who is our program manager, the county's program manager for transportation. And and basically, he indicated that for next year, he will continue with the current vendor. I know there were some estimates for costs that were brought forward last month, and he did indicate that those were based on the current vendor's rates. So this does not affect those projections.